for Maggie. Take it away.
Why we should all practice plant-based habits. Eating plant-based is probably the easiest thing you can do to make a real impact against climate change and other environmental challenges. Did you know that there's something you can do to affect change for the better when it comes to climate change and pollution? It goes beyond not using plastics or straws or oil. It's been reported for decades about the environmental impact that clear cutting the Amazon has had. And it's a pretty dramatic example, but clear cutting and use of land like that is used all over the world to support the animals that they raise to wind up on our plates. Happens all over. Happens here, Canada, in the US. So it takes less land to raise crops to feed humans than it does to raise crops to feed the animals that then wind up on your plate. So it's really just, the flesh that you eat is really just a middleman to get the nutrients you would get from plants anyway. And then you wind up using less land and taking the load off of Mother Earth. And you can see from the graph here, the land use of foods per 1,000 kilocalories. Look at how much land use is required to raise beef alone. And let's not even use the word beef, because they're not inanimate objects, they're cows. They have feelings like this dog here does. They're very matriarchal, they're very family oriented. They grieve when one of their members dies. And the amount of water that it takes to produce livestock. And this graph shows how much water is used to produce each of these, as some humans would say, items, but again, they're not inanimate objects. They're chicken, they're cows, they're pigs, and milk. And I like to say to people when they say they're lactose intolerant, you know why you're lactose intolerant? Because you're not a baby cow. It comes from, we are the only species that as a habit, we drink somebody else's milk. Cow's milk is designed to make a 500-pound baby grow up to be a 1,000-pound cow over a very short amount of time. And it's not the best to be putting that in our bodies, and it affects all sorts of things. And it's also a risk to the environment and pollution. And you'll see here, you see how there's this ugly film on the water. This is a poultry plant, and there was a flood. And because of the flood, it spread the contaminants of the cesspool into the surrounding community. And even when that doesn't happen, they use the contents of the cesspool to spray on crops in the surrounding communities, and it causes all sorts of health problems. Some of these pigs are alive, some of them are dead. Can you imagine being trapped in a flood and some of your friends and family are alive and some of them are dead? And then think of the impact it's having on the environment with the dead bodies polluting the water table. This is a picture of one of the pigs. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but this is a water bottle. because for some reason, and I had the page up here, but it is, I'm trying to remember the numbers correctly, but it's something like 38 hours that kids are allowed to be transported without food and water and rest and a way to eliminate. So can you imagine being stuck in a truck with no clothes, you're naked, you're cold, and you have nowhere to go to the bathroom, you're slipping and sliding in all the waste that all your friends and family have eliminated in the truck with you? And it doesn't matter what time of year it is, what the weather is like, they still get transported. If it's freezing out, and they get stuck to the side of the truck because they've been frozen to the truck, they get torn off. I'm sure we've all heard funny stories of kids experimenting with licking a pole with ice. Can you imagine the whole side of your body getting torn off because you got stuck, frozen to the side of the truck? It's just not worth it. So, it's pretty simple. Stop consuming animal products. Not just what you eat, but what you wear. And even people mistakenly think that leather is more environmentally friendly than synthetic fabrics, but it's not, because of all the chemicals that are used to process the skin. It's supply and demand. When enough people stop demanding a product, the supply goes down, and then lightening up the load on the environment. And so then, as well, when the supply goes down, so does the demand on resources that otherwise would be necessary to produce and process animals and their products. Of course, there are other things we can all do to take a load off of Mother Earth, and a lot of people have the argument, don't tell me what to eat, but that's part of the problem. People are looking at these animals as inanimate objects. They're not. It's who you eat, not what. There's so many facets to the animal agriculture industry that affect the environment that we would be doing so much by doing one simple thing. And again, it's not what we eat, but who we eat, and the many processes that have to happen to get that flesh on our plate. Picture never again seeing a transport truck full of animals on the highway. Think of how many emissions would not be polluting our environment anymore. And picture once again what once would have been farmland to produce these animals and their flesh. And we would be doing away with the cesspools that affect our environment. And it's fun. There are so many choices these days. I tell you, I've never had so much fun discovering new food and recipes since I became vegan. And I would be so happy to take you shopping or share recipes or refer a vegan registered dietitian. There are so many groups you can join. And to close, although I've never been blessed to have my own children, I still appreciate that they are our future. And they will be the stewards of Mother Earth and her inhabitants. So let's make sure there will still be a habitable earth for them to live on.
Great job, Daphne. How did that feel? And your voice sounded great. It came back.
There's so much more to say.
Yeah.
I did not practice once
Wow.
because of my voice.
Right. Well, it was fantastic. Let's hear from everyone. What was strong about Daphne's speech, Julia?
Well, the ending was absolutely amazing. I loved it. And also, maybe we didn't notice your voice because you have so much passion when you're talking about animals that you really captivate us, and it shows. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin.
You know your material so well, so it was just like flawless delivery.
Matthew.
It was impassioned. It was amazing. How you evoke images and it was just very articulate too, Daphne. It was really well done. Thank you.
Sarah.
Yeah, I learned so much, Daphne, so thank you so much. I feel empowered to try new plant basal treatments.
Thank you. Diana.
It was very impactful. I could tell that this is something that's really close to your heart. Very informative and just, very well researched.
Italia.
I think it was really well done. The calmness in your voice was like soothing to me, even though you were speaking about these stuff that happens to these animals. It's a good reminder for me, especially because it's so easy to look the same direction as everybody else, and you're the kind of person that is facing the other way and challenging everything. So thank you for being an advocate.
Thank you. Anyone else before me? Rodney.
Yeah, you did a great job. Loved how in your speech, it wasn't hateful, it wasn't negative, it was just informative. You're very informative, and you personalized it. Them personalized the animals, and yeah, it was very, very well done. And you're an advocate, so great job.
Thank you. Yeah, Maria.
I mean, agree with everything everybody said, but I also appreciate that, like, despite the emotion that you were feeling, like it was difficult to talk about those things, you continued and like you made yourself vulnerable, right? But you also kind of went through continuing with this speech in a way that was very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Isaiah.
I appreciate that you took time to remind that animals are not objects. They have souls and they feel and they have emotion and they have the right to live in this planet just as we do.
Thank you. Anyone else before me? Great job, Daphne. You nailed it. Your passion came through. Passion for the subject, how much research went into it, the visual element, and you even, in spite of your voice being, kind of out of commission, you still managed to somehow project strongly. Have your voice tone was great. The pacing was bang on. Just giving people time to think and digest as you're talking. It wasn't too fast or too slow. And just body posture was great. Gestures, all of the elements were there. And it really was, clearly came from the heart. And so, fantastic job. Round of applause for that.